Hey everyone, how's it going? Shuffle's back here with another video, and we are back with another The Best video. I almost forgot what the title of the video is going to be. Uh, but we're here for ML Lilibet today. So ML Lilibet, one of my favorite units to use right now. Also one of the most important units in the game right now. I wouldn't say she's like one of the best units per se, but she's definitely one of the most important. So let's jump over into the game. I'll show you guys the gear, the stats, what I decided to run on her, the idea of some potential alternative builds, and then at the very end, I'll show you guys some clips of how I use her. So here's my Lilibet. You can see she's on speed, immunity, and Draco plate. Now, one of the first things that I see on a lot of people's Lilibets is that their Lilibet is not on immunity. And I'm going to tell you now that it's pretty much mandatory. All high level players either have her on immunity or they don't like her. And it's a big issue. If you have her on immunity, say you bring her into, like, think about who you're going to bring her into. You're going to bring her into Cerise. Great person you would normally want to bring her into because there's a lot of debuffs. If you bring her into Cerise, instead of using skill 3, which is going to end up triggering Lilibet's passive and you're going to cleanse everything, instead Cerise is going to skill 2 you and stun you and you're not going to cleanse and you're going to miss your turn and your entire cycle is messed up and you're going to lose because of it. Who else? You could go maybe into Litica. Flitica can just reset you right away. There's a whole bunch of options. There's a whole bunch of things that are going to mess you up. And on top of that, it does give you 2 chances to get that 15% chance to resist if you have immunity up as well. So instead of 15%, you have 15% times 2, which is really nice. And just trust me, it is pretty much mandatory. I have tried her without immunity. I have a really nice pair of crit boots that I was hoping I could use on her, and it's just bad. Um, People might argue with you, but everybody I've seen that says they don't like her, it's because they don't have her on immunity, and she doesn't end up doing her job because she's not on immunity. So, oops, wrong main stat. It would have been really nice to use these 37 crit damage boots on her. If I could, I would, but you just can't afford to not have her on immunity. So that is why she is the way she is. Now, in terms of her individual pieces, so go back here. She is on defense boots. So defense boots, HP sub. I didn't have these boots. Actually, when I summoned her, I got these the very next day. So I was very fortunate to be able to fill that immunity set, as I wasn't really sure what to do between those boots I just showed you and these ones. But these are perfect. This is exactly what you're looking for on all of her gear. Defense, speed, crit rate, crit damage, HP. Same thing here. Defense, crit rate, crit damage, speed, HP. Crit rate, crit damage, speed, HP, defense. Are you noticing a theme? Speed, defense, crit rate, crit damage. Speed, defense, crit rate, crit damage. And speed, crit rate, crit damage, and HP, because you cannot get defense on this piece. Now, these stats are going to look very common because a lot of top players are going to have stats similar to this, whether it be like 21 HP, 2100 defense, 2k defense, 16k HP, 15k HP. So they're all going to be in that range. Reason being, there are not a lot of units that need defense damage scaling gear. So everybody's best defense damage scaling gear is going to go on to Lilibet. So a lot of them are going to look similar to this. You do want 100% crit rate, and if you're fortunate enough to have imprints like I did, it's easier to get her to 100% crit rate. So having her at 190 speed on speed, or sorry, not on speed boots is a huge luxury, partially because that imprint right there. Oops. Plus the 284 crit damage, 284 crit damage plus Draco plate also means she outputs a ton of damage. being over 310 crit damage with over 2k defense, if you add a defense buff to that, especially, is going to be enormous. In terms of alternative builds, could you put her on counter? In theory, you could, but you'd have to put her on speed boots. Depends on the rest of your units, though. So normally for me, what I run her with is my Alencia. My Alencia is 230 speed, and as long as the enemy lands 5 debuffs or more, and then somebody follows up after them, my Lilibet's going to cut my Alencia. Which means I'm going to get the cleanse, so I don't have to worry about my Alencia getting a turn. Why does she cut? Let's take a look at her skills. So the main thing is her passive. When an enemy turn ends, gains 5 fighting spirit for each debuff inflicted on an ally. Battle starts with 50, which means that if you get 5 debuffs, that brings you to 75, and then 2 turns will bring you to 100. So that's what you need to get to that boost. When you hit that, it gives her 40% CR. 40% CR is going to cut almost anybody. And then once you cut, you can use this skill 3, decreases buff durations on debuff durations on all allies by 2 turns. And then also AoE attacks, increasing skill cooldowns by 1 turn. The skill cooldown increase is really, really nice. Damage obviously proportional to caster's defense as well. The skill cooldown is nice, but you're not gearing toward that. Like you can see I have 0 effectiveness. You're going to land that on low-res targets. Like if you're going into a Tywin, you're going to land it on Tywin. If you're going into Arby, you're going to land it on Arby. Because they have 0 effectiveness. Zero resistance. But, I mean, other than that, it doesn't really matter. You're not trying to land that on a Ruel. You don't need effectiveness. You build her for the damage, and you're not bringing her into every comp. You're bringing her into debuff comps. And it's nice because you don't have to worry about res. A lot of people are trying to build high-res cleansers like Ray, or Gigi Basar, or Katie's. And they're fantastic units, but you don't necessarily, especially for RTA, you don't want to have to bring 2 of them. So you want to bring Lilibet and a cleanser. That way, if they go damage, you don't get stuck with just 2 cleansers, and you're stuck with a 2 heal team with no damage. Lilibet here can output a good amount of damage, and we will show that in a second. Outside of her skill 3, she also has skill 1, which is really nice. It's 75% chance to silence for 1 turn. This does decent damage, and it does come in clutch. You can see I've got mine at plus 15. Her damage output is huge. Especially, it does scale really well later in fights. Because basically the way Frenzy works in RTA is your HP decreases and your attack increases. So, because most of her sustain, or her tankiness, is based on defense, that's not decreasing. So she's always tanky, even later in fights. Okay, alternative builds. One more thing I want to talk about. We did mention counter briefly. You do want to make sure that you're speed tuned so that 2 turns. So, like, if you're top speed, if you're fastest unit of the units on the team you'd be bringing her into, like, say I'm going into a Cerise Arby. If my fastest unit was 200 speed, I could afford for this to be lower. Because I don't need her. I only need to be able to cut with a 40% boost, right? So I could potentially put her on counter then if my fastest unit was 200 speed. But because for me personally my Alencia is 230, I need that 190 speed to make sure that I can cut. Keep in mind it's 40%. It's not 40 speed. It is different. So you'd have to do the math on that. But I like to keep it somewhat close just because, like, say for example, I go into a Basar, and he ends up pushing her back, but he doesn't push back Alencia. Then you still want to have that chance to cut, so that's why. Alright, we're going to wrap this part of the video up. Maybe one more thing, actually. If you have an extra Scythe, you can run Scythe on her. I should mention that. I don't like any other artifact on her, really, other than Draco Plate. I tried Scythe. I'm not a huge fan. You can also go Durandal if you really want to. But Dracoplate is just so good because her damage output is enormous. I would recommend Dracoplate if you've got it. But yeah, that's going to be it for this portion of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Actually, I was thinking, before I show you guys the clips, I was thinking about doing a how to deal with Arby in Guild War Arena and RTA. If you guys are interested in seeing that, make sure you let me know down in the comment section down below. Especially since everybody's going to be getting him tomorrow with all the exchanges or whatever, the new update. So let me know down in the comment section below if you guys would be interested in seeing something like that. Otherwise, let's jump over into the Lilibet clips.
I won't be defeated.
I didn't want to have to do this, but it seems I have no choice!
Humans are truly foolish. I just feel sorry for them.
What's with that stupid pose? You'll pay for the dress you ruined with your life!
Show your elders some respect. I was going to let you off easy. The flowers are withering.
Can you hear the approaching ruin?
You don't look very appetizing, but I don't have the time for stupid toys.
Now is the time of judgment. Disappear, evil one.
Assist me.
Okay. Do I look like a pushover to you? You're not too strong, so this should be enough.
I'm growing tired of this act.
Is it my time to shine?
Get out of my way.
You are beneath me.
Whose turn is it today? Time to put an end to this!
Now is the time of judgment.
Lance of Steel.
You want to try me? You disgust me.
Prepare yourselves.
Come here! I'll sort this out. Want me to take care of that? Let's wipe them out! My throne! Excuse my land is threatened, but you must be attacked! Are you ready? Those clothes deserve better. You think you can just ruin my masterpiece? I'll cut you into pieces!
Get out of my way. You'll be destroyed.
Do I look like a pushover to you? Lowly creature.
Trespassers will be punished! We'll be done before you know it. Here I what a has-been. I definitely earned something tasty for dinner.